we begin with the simple question, what is music? Argued by musicologists, theorists, theologians, musicians, and philosophers for centuries, there is no simple answer for this simple question. Yet, past the protestations of those who make their livings in the deep caverns of music libraries around the world, I choose today to define music with 3 words: interpreted, organized, sound. As Hillel stated so eloquently, all the rest is commentary. Music is your interpretation of organized sound and your desire to accept it as part of your preconceived definition of music or not. However, before your judgment is laid down upon something which you cannot consider to be music, consider this anecdote. That many years ago, a man visited a great western city from a poor country and was taken by someone to a symphony. There he sat in awe and heard what he believed to be the most beautiful sounds coming from the orchestra. It was the most glorious music in the world, he proclaimed silently to himself. And then it stopped, and a vast cacophony of sound poured from the same instruments which just a moment ago had created such passionate beauty. Disgusted by such foolishness, he left the concert hall. For to him, the orchestra warming up and tuning their instruments was music, and Beethoven's Ninth Symphony was not. Therefore, if interpreted organized sound may be considered music, how then do we define sacred music? Sacred music is the interpreted organized sound performed for the purpose of reaching something holier, either within ourselves or beyond. That holiness which was granted to us either by divine power, by our efforts to seek the divine, or by the sense of divinity which we carry in each of us through our consciousness and our humanity. It is the oral presentation of our organized sound created for the purpose of taking us to a higher plane, either for our own benefit or for the benefit of one or many with whom we may or may not believe in. This creates a very broad definition. Music is creative construction, and although it may be contained within the confines of mathematical reasoning, it is still a form of artistic experience and has as many variables as combinations of colors on our planet. Yet what emotionally can we take from our definition of sacred music? It is a wall of power. It is a still small voice, a sense of clarity, perhaps a knowledge that something greater than yourself is finally listening to you, perhaps a cry to yourself to remember that which you have the potential to be. It is an organized scream. It is our humanity, for ourselves, for a divine. It is worship, our interpreted artistic expression of worship. For this day, this moment, this reflection, I'm seeking to define that music which, as members of a culture steeped in Western traditions, is closest to us. So hold on to something. I've somehow managed to convince myself that I can wrap up the entirety of music history into a 19-minute sermon, and I will admit willingly and even gleefully that I have bitten off way more than I can chew. Enjoy the ride. Our music was born in faith for the purpose of demonstrating faith. Whether that be our faith today or not is irrelevant. For faith is still the driving force behind its construction, and it is the mortar which firmly holds each pitch in place. Then let us reflect for a few minutes on the marvel of Western art music, also known as classical. There are 12 tones, which Susan so kindly demonstrated for us last week. Pythagoras developed the construction of using 8 of those tones at any given time to create the sense of organized balance, which we call mode. In the Western tradition, we have 7 modes. You already know the first one. It's called Ionian. We know it better today as the major scale. In fact, we're going to sing a song right now that most of you probably know, which teaches us that scale. And it goes like this. Do, a deer, a female deer, Re, a drop of golden sun, Mi, a name I call myself, Fa, a long, long way to run, So, a needle pulling thread, La, a note to follow, So, Ti, a drink with jam and bread, that will bring us back to Do. It's always a debate whether you do the do, do, do down or not. I've sung this with kids, and they always debate about that too. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. What do these odd little syllables mean? They're a constructive tool developed over 1,000 years ago, and with some minor exceptions, they have remained relatively unaltered. There are still 7 modes today, 8 tones each out of the 12 tones available. We like to focus on 2 of these modes, Ionian and Aeolian, major and minor scales. This is Western music, just those 12 little tones in an endless sea of combinations. For nearly many centuries, faithful monks composed worshipful melodies for the purpose of celebrating the elements of the universal Christian faith. These tunes are now blanketed under the umbrella term Gregorian chant. Many of their melodies survive today in the Roman Catholic Liber Usualis, a collection of chants used daily and in festive worship, organized by a vast liturgical system which has spun like a well-oiled machine for centuries. And in the 12th century, we see eyes and ears opening like newborn puppies to something far greater than could have been imagined in previous centuries. First, from Germany, comes a voice which shatters the old rules of music construction, a beacon of light cutting through thousands of chants before it. Surprisingly enough, this early beacon of light is not only named, she also reveals that she is not a man. Hildegard of Bingen was a philosopher, medical practitioner, and music composer, a 12th century abbess from the Rhine River region whose expression of faith were written passionately in words and music. O quam mirabilis est. Oh, what a miracle this is.